Neato. Cool. Okay. Today we are going to attempt to not die, but also go to work. It is currently about 14 degrees outside, something like that, and snowing, and we have about a 2.5 miles, something like that, commute to get there. We're going to take my F800GS, couple mods for the snow. I have some hippo hands on there that really help keep the wind off your hands, and in this case the snow. And then the tire pressure, I dropped pressures to 30 front and rear from normally I keep it at like, I don't know, 38, 40, 38, 42, something like that. I do have a recluse on this, which I think will help a little bit. Just with keeping traction. We're going to go ahead and switch ABS off because I have a feeling we're going to lock up a few times. Yeah, let's get going. First step, driveway. It is a little steep, so we'll see how this goes. Oh, not bad. The snow is actually in pretty good shape. Shut the garage door real quick. It's nice and fluffy and dry, which is good for me because I still have plenty of traction underneath. Okay. The visor closed. Let's get going. We're going to take it nice and slow. My cul-de-sac does not normally get plowed in the winter until like 2 or 3 days after it snows, which is fun. Once we get out to the main road, though, it should hopefully be not that great, but not that bad. It is looking like it's icing up a little bit. But I'm able to stop. That's nice. Looks like we still have traction, which is surprising, considering it's, snowing. I do have a truck as well. Oof, that's still saying 45. That's not right. I do have a truck as well, but I don't have a parking permit for it, and I really don't want to pay the $8 or whatever it is to park on campus for a day. Call me stubborn, that's fine. Call me stupid, that's okay too. This is a pretty dumb thing, commuting on a motorcycle in teens weather. There it goes, 16.7. That is a new record commute for me. My previous record, I believe, was 17 degrees. Oh, 15.8. We're still dropping, that's fun. We'll see how this intersection goes. Those are usually a little bit more troublesome than the actual road themselves, just with all the traffic crossing. Actually, ground feels pretty good so far. I'm pleased. Helps just with how dry this snow is compared to like wetter, slushier stuff. It's more crystalline and probably gives a bit more friction throughout. Let's see. The BMW F800GS, I have it geared down one tooth to a 15 front sprocket, stock rear sprocket, a little bit of a suspension with just fork springs in the front, nothing done to the rear. Let's see, we do have grip warmers, which I think is probably an amazing thing. Oh, I just lost my rear end a little bit there. Glad I had my feet down. Alright, let's get going again. Some people are probably wondering why I'm standing at times, why I'm sitting at times. If, you're watching your ADV YouTube channels, a lot of them are going to be standing the whole time. if I'm going through an intersection and just barely leaning, it is so much easier to dab a foot if I'm sitting, and my balance is okay enough while sitting that I just feel more comfortable that way. It's just easier to save it if I need to. While I'm on the road though, while we have a little bit of gyroscopic effect, like if I dab right now, I'm not doing shit, I'm breaking a leg. Sorry, I'm breaking a leg. And that's not something I really want to do right now, you know? I'm not sure if anyone really does. Cool, I have a car behind me, that's fun. But I'm doing 30 in the snow on a 35, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, so the goal here is not to break a leg. Normally this commute would take me about maybe 7 minutes. I usually go through here pretty quickly. We have a couple lights coming up that may not be the most fun. I work at a university, and university handles their own snow separate from the city. So it doesn't actually look like the city's been out here to do too much yet. But I can almost guarantee that the university has done nothing yet. So once we get onto campus, it'll likely deteriorate quite a bit. We're going to switch into the other wheel well here. I'm overall pretty happy though. This is going much better than I assumed it would. The road seems to be fairly dry. I mean, it's wet obviously with snow, but it's not very slick. I can drop a foot and still feel the individual pebbles of the road. Should probably slow down for this slight curve. When it is snowing like this, I monkey around on the bike a whole lot more as far as I'm leaning over off of the bike, hanging off the bike, rather than leaning the bike itself. The more upright I can keep the bike, the more my center of gravity of the bike stays in the same place, and I'm less likely to actually lose the rear end at all. Because that's kind of what we don't want to do is lose that rear end. Shift down into second for this corner. I'm also trying to be just super smooth with my shifts. If I don't need to shift, I'm probably not going to. This bike has a ton. Oh, this is gonna suck. Alright, so here I have my left knee kind of bent out. I am hanging off the bike. Looks a little bit slushy, but it's again not terrible. This bike, luckily, in addition to having it geared down to a 15 tooth, it will lug like a tractor. The Recluse helps with that. You know, it's just one thing that I don't have to keep in mind. Feathering a clutch, it basically does it for me. Do a small blip up at the second. And there's no one on the commute today, aside from that one car earlier, which turned somewhere. This is going to be a little tricky. And this is what I'm talking about. Instantly, we are in a lot worse shape as far as roads go. I can feel my back end moving around a little bit. So until we get up this hill, we're just gonna chug along. Lucky for me, speed limit also drops down to 20. So if I do have anyone coming up behind me, hopefully they aren't tailgating at 30. And heaven forbid if I do go down, hopefully they'll have a little bit better chance of stopping at 20 mile an hour than they would at 35 or whatever the other roads have been. Ooh. So I'm wearing summer gloves. I should probably go over everything that I'm wearing. Helmet is an AGV AX9. Surprisingly great ventilation. It does have a pin lock in it, which is helping with any kind of condensation in the visor. I do have it cracked a tiny bit, just for airflow and help keep the condensation out, just because there's such a good differential. I am wearing a fleece gaiter, so if my mic is a little muffled, I apologize. That's what's doing it. Below that, I have a t-shirt, a sweater, and then it's actually my snowboarding jacket. Oh, thanks for giving me some space there. I debated putting my riding gear on just for the extra protection, knowing that there is a high chance that I go down, but decided it's fucking 13 degrees. I need some better, 13.1. I need some better protection instead. Ooh, slippery patch there. Poor timing on my part trying to pull my visor up. Summer gloves, which is fine with the hand warmers and the hippo hands. I do usually two-finger my clutch and brake pedals. So those two fingers are actually fairly cold right now. There's some gaps that air gets around. They actually came out with a new model that looks a whole lot better than, did a terrible job parking there. It's a whole lot better than the ones that I have. So I'm almost tempted to get the new ones. Whew. Alright. 13.1.